Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
First down and 10 at their own 10-yard line. Tevin Coleman with some running room. Tevin Coleman down the sideline. Coleman, one man to beat. Tevin Coleman's going to go 90 yards, and Indiana takes the lead. Randall L. scrambles, started off the pitch, keeps it himself down the sidelines. He could go. Antoine Randall L. touchdown. Rory going to the single coverage, end zone. Touchdown! He hits Cooper again.
Welcome to the Hoosier Happy Hour podcast, episode 277, the Maryland game preview, game number 9 on the season. While Brandon is on the, I don't know if he's on the IR, but he's definitely on the injured list right now with a sickness, an unknown sickness, a toddler's sickness is what he was saying that he thinks that he has. A double ear infection, which I don't think you can get as an adult. I don't know. Maybe you can. But stepping up as a superhero is everybody's probably second favorite character, I guess, is Seth. What's up, Seth?
It's me. Hey. Ready to talk Terp talk?
Talk Terps? What is it? What is it from Meet the Parents? Jack Talk Thai, whatever he says. Yeah.
Jack talk Terp really well.
Yeah, there you go. There it is. There it is. All right. Let's get into it. There were some award things like Fernando got like top 10 now in is it Walter Camp? Is that the award? Maybe
I think that's best offensive player.
He's going to win everything. So, all right, let's talk the game. Game number 9. It's at Maryland. Maryland is the Terrapins. They are 4-3, but they're coming in with a 3-game losing streak, 1-3 in conference. Game takes place this Saturday, November 1st, which will be tomorrow because we're going to have a Friday release for you guys for your Halloween listening pleasure. A 3:30 kickoff. This is Maryland's homecoming game. I feel like they probably could have scheduled, I don't know, maybe Nebraska could have been their homecoming instead of this one. But instead, they get number 2 coming to town for what should be a pretty good-looking day. Low precipitation percentage and somewhere in the 60s with mostly sunny or mostly cloudy, depending on where you look. It takes place at SECU. What is SECU? SECU? Is that like a credit union?
Southeast Credit Union?
SEU?
I don't know what SE is.
Like that.
Credit Union,
I don't know.
For sure.
At that stadium. It's going to be on national television on CBS. The line moved from minus 21.5 to minus 22.5 in favor of IU with the over-under at 50.5, which those that don't know too much about Maryland may be thinking that sounds like a low over-under with a 22.5 point spread. And Maryland and IU traditionally put up a lot of points. Well, we'll get into that. ESPN giving the lowest percentage of winning since Oregon. So I guess it's only been 2 weeks, but down to 90.4 for IU as far as the FPI. Is it FPI that they use?
Yeah.
Football Power Index. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Then series notes. This will be the 14th game in the series. IU holds one of the very few Big Ten advantages at 8-5 against Maryland all time. Last season was a weird game, a rain game in Bloomington. IU winning 42-28. I don't remember the game feeling like it was ever like out of reach or in Maryland's advantage. But then again, it's been a long time since I've watched that game. IU's largest margin of victory is 19, which took place in 2015, where they won 47-28. And I have no fun facts. 0 fun facts about the series.
State Employees Credit Union.
Ah, yes. The State Employees Credit Union, which seems like it would be a not-for-profit organization. Aren't all banks non-for-profit organizations, though?
No.
I don't know. Guess not.
Let's talk schedule.
Let's talk schedule.
Something you know facts about.
A little bit better. Okay, so I've added some new things specifically for Maryland, which I've added a game dialogue for each one of these games. So most of them will go pretty quick. So they started with FAU. They won that game easily, 39-7. Then they played Northern Illinois. I think I remember calling this in our season preview when we went through the Big Ten as being a possible hurdle for them. It was 13-9. They dominated Townsend at home the following week. Then they go to at Wisconsin, which I think this was kind of the downfall of Fickle. A 27-10 win with a 20-0 at half in Wisconsin, which is crazy. And then here's actual craziness, right? So they have Washington at home. They lose that game 20-24. They led 20-0 early in the third quarter and gave up 24 straight points to end the game. 24-0. Losing that one. And then this gets even better. Nebraska, they lose that 31-34. This was a fun up and down game. Nebraska absolutely dominated the fourth quarter. That is what we call and I lost the word, foreshadow for what's coming up later. And then the even funnier part of it, another loss at UCLA, 17-20 before they had their bye week last week. This is what happened in the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, Seth. UCLA in the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, UCLA went on a 13-3 run with the possessions being UCLA touchdown, interception, UCLA field goal, touchdown Maryland. I'm sorry, they went on a 13-7 run and field goal by UCLA to win the game. Like in 5 minutes, you had 16 points scored. I guess that sounds not that bad, but there were 5 different possessions in 5.
All right. I'm going to channel my inner Brandon here and say, this is what Maryland football is. This is what Mike Loxley is. They beat up on the cream puffs to start the season. They have this fake, powerful, oh my God, here it is. They're real this year, I swear. They've got the recruits. They've got the talent. These guys aren't going to leave, I swear. And then sometime around week 4, week 5, week 6, the wheels start slowly falling off. Cracks start to get exposed. Certain players all of a sudden start talking about rather being other places. This is Maryland football, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we've come to expect since they've entered the Big Ten. It's been start hot, cool quickly, and then hope they can scramble for a bowl season. But this is Maryland football. Even with the nice recruits, they got the quarterback. We can talk about all these things, but I mean, this is Maryland football. So
there is an actual saying, which I don't know, I haven't Googled it before, but like a national perspective is their September Maryland. That's what it's called. I mean, there's literally a nickname of September Maryland where they always dominate September and then they fall off. Now, bowl eligibility looks to be in their favor if they can turn some of the stuff in the fourth quarter around. They do play IU this weekend. Then they go to Rutgers, which is a winnable game, at Illinois, who knows, Michigan, and then they play at Ford Field against Michigan State. So I would say advantage Maryland maybe in 2 of those games. Slight advantage, right?
Yep.
So they could see a bowl at 6-6, but that's not for us to determine. All right, so let's break down the offense. We've got a lot of stats to go over here real quick. Seth, before I do this, when I say Maryland football, what side of the ball do you expect to be dominant?
So again, I don't expect either to be dominant. I expect them to have a few studs and then a bunch of random players, and it's just kind of a mishmash. So it's like you might have DJ Moore on offense, but then who's throwing him the ball? Or it might be, what is it, Brady, who was on defense last year, 2 years ago, or these corners they've had. I mean, shoot, even Barnum, who's at Michigan now, but then they
Nick Cross,
yeah, Nick Cross, thank you. That was the other safety I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
So it's always a kind of a hodgepodge. They definitely have talent. They definitely have pedigree guys who go off to the NFL, sometimes go to other schools and then go to the NFL.
Chop Robinson, one of those guys.
Right. Yep. CJ Dupree was another highly ranked guy who ended up at Alabama. It's a pretty common trope at this point. So again, I feel like this is what Maryland football is. This is
what I was sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So what I was getting at was whenever I think of Maryland football, right? At least you're going to score points, right? They're going to score points.
Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying now. Yes.
Their defense is going to be hit or miss. Maybe they've got some studs around there. Maybe they got some studs on offense, but they're going to score points, right?
Yep.
Well, their 100th. Did I say that right? 100th out of 134 teams in total offense. 73rd in scoring offense, which 28 points is okay, but 73rd in total offense, 128th in rushing offense, and 49th in passing. None of those I would have associated with Maryland football at all, right? Here's some other fun stats for them. They have given up their third down conversions are 90th in the country. They only convert 38% on third down. Their completion percentage is terrible at 59%, 104th in the country. Time of possession, 29 minutes. That's 92nd in the country. So nothing on offense, knock on wood, should scare what is a top 10 defense, right? Across the board. Let me look. Top 12 defense.
Aside from individual athleticism, you're correct. Yeah. You're correct.
Let's talk about some of the athletes on their team. I was going to go with some of the athleticism, but I just gave up. So the main guy, right? Malik Washington, the true freshman out of the what do they call it? DMV. The DC, Maryland, Virginia.
There it is. Attaboy.
Yes.
That's my
so
dog.
You Wale, right? I think he's the one that says that a bunch. So he's been pretty impressive in spots, right? So he doesn't get too many sacks. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, but he's inaccurate. And he was really inaccurate last game against Maryland. He only threw for 48%. So on the season, he's 60%, smidge over 1,700 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks, but a disgusting average. If Brandon was here, he would vomit. 6.4 completion average. So very, very short passes. Which is not necessarily true, but they did beat up on some of the little guys with some longer plays. Here's another thing that kind of throws a loop into the whole thing is that their backfield, their running backs are not good. Do I say good? They're not what you would consider Maryland running backs either. So they kind of have a 2-back system. Washington will run a little bit. He's not necessarily a running quarterback, but he will make plays with his feet if needed. But the two guys, DeJuan Williams and I can't remember the other guy's Nolan Ray. That's right. So Williams leads the team in 86 carries and 292 yards and 2 touchdowns on an average of 3.5 yards a carry. Altogether, they have 709 yards rushing on the season. 709, which is good for, what did I say? 128th in the country in rushing.
Yep. 100 yards per game.
100 yards per game. Let's compare that to IU. 107 total yards rushing. IU has over 1,800 yards on the ground, which does rank 11th in the country. So that's a big gap. So they're not really, I'm not going to be worried about their rushing game. Again, famous last words. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the two things Malik Washington, definitely a different quarterback home versus away. If you look at his away stats, he's right at 50%. He's closer to 65, 70% when he's at home. He has a 56.8 QBR. He is 6'5", 231, but he does not want to run. I mean, he is not necessarily a running quarterback, like you said. And then regarding the 2 running back situation, last year they were really trying to force Nolan Ray. That's really kind of what drove Hemby away. He was a stud true freshman from Michigan. And then all of a sudden they're doing the exact same thing. I feel like this is another thing with Maryland football does. They get these really good freshman running backs, and you're like, oh, this guy's going to be a stud for the next 3 years. Then they over recruit the position, and now all of a sudden, what is it, Washington? Williams, DeJuan Williams. He's the one who's now getting all the carries as a freshman. And so it's just like, what? Wish you kind of spread. I mean, again, I don't care. But if I was a Maryland fan, I'd be like, I wish you kind of spread this town out a little bit more. But yeah, there's kind of a weird little log jam at running back, but neither one of them are super successful this year. So, yeah, it's kind of really interesting. You would expect Maryland to be a little bit more of a ground and pound type team. And they're not really trying to be that at all.
No, as I said, 3.5 yards per carry for Williams. Just again, comparison for IU overall, 5.5 per carry at IU. Now, there's talk about spreading out the carries, right? There's a big spread on the wide receiver position. So 5 players have over 20 receptions. What did you say? Shalik Knotts leads the team in yards and touchdowns, which is just 5. But with Jarrell Farouk, who is a Oklahoma transfer, leads the team in receptions at 31, right? So they spread it around quite a bit. Their tight end, Dorian Fleming's really good. He's a big part of the team as well, second on the team in catches overall. But there's not a particular person, right? You can't pick out, you can't really do it with IU either, but you can't be like Tate and Smith, right? Or you can't be like one major wide receiver with some complementary parts. It's just spread out across the way. The running backs catch the ball out of the backfield pretty well too. Williams is actually 5th on the team in receptions. So good luck, right? Trying to pick the one guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing is it's a matchup with the defensive secondary of IU, which should still be able to has the pieces to cover multiple receivers. The tight end, Dorian Fleming, is a guy I'd like to talk about just for a second because he was a transfer from Georgia State. He was a freshman last year, and he was one of the really sought after, high priced, so to speak. Well, I guess you can say that for real now. You don't have to give quotations around it. In the transfer portal, and he's been pretty good. It's a big step up from the Sun Belt or Conference USA. Who gives a shit what they're in anymore. It's a big step up, but he is really a 6'3", 245, big body, works well in space. He's a guy who could potentially, with a running quarterback and a tight end who's pretty good, could really occupy those linebackers in a way they haven't been tested in a while, since probably the Iowa game.
I was going to say, is this Oregon's guy was pretty good.
Yeah,
but he
Sadiq.
Too much, right? Sadiq had maybe 1 or 2 catches. I would say this is probably the second best overall rounded tight end that we played so far this season. And it'll be interesting to see. I mean, again, you can't focus on one guy. I think our secondary can probably play pretty well with their wide receivers. It's just, I think the tight end may give us some issues, but we'll see. We were worried about Sadiq at Oregon, and he didn't do too much, including dropping a touchdown at the buzzer. So, all right, moving on. Their offensive line is good. Like, statistically, at least at pass protection, they're number 3 in the country, allowing only 3 sacks on the season. Now, here's what Seth doesn't have on his outline that I do. Are you ready for this, Seth? I'm going to give the rankings of the teams that they've played.
And
where they're at in sacks in the country.
I was just going to say, what sack artists have they gone up against? They haven't.
The best one was Wisconsin. Okay, wait till you hear this one.
Go for it.
FAU 88th, Northern Illinois 109th.
Ooh.
Townsend FCS team. I'm not going to go look that up.
Yep.
Wisconsin 68th.
Ooh.
That was the best one. Washington 106. Nebraska 109. UCLA 134th out of 134 teams.
I think I remembered that from our UCLA pods. Something looking that up. They were the worst pass rush in college football. Oh yeah,
yes.
It'll be a different opponent for them. This will by far. I mean, IU's is what we saw earlier today. It was the number 1 rated defensive line unit. So they'll absolutely have their hands full, despite being currently ranked really high. I don't think it's against any quality opponent. So it's a little bit of an inflated stat. I fully expect the defensive line and the blitzing backers and anybody coming off the edge to have a fully successful day. I think that's some bogus stats.
Here's what they're going up against. Again, 88th, 109th FCS, 68, 106, 109, 134. Indiana, second.
There it is.
Second, with nearly 4 sacks per game. Again, the best number I read to you was Wisconsin with 2 sacks per game.
Ugh.
So, and that's rounding up. So again, we'll see how they fare against a much better statistical defensive line. Anything else on their offense? Are you good to go? All right, let's move to the defense.
Yep.
Totally different story. Now, they've got their weaknesses, and we'll get into that, but they've got some incredible stats. So, total defense, 52nd in the country. Scoring defense, 18th, only allowing 17 points per game. Rushing defense is 41st, and passing defense, 75th. Now, remember, 52, 18, 41, 75. I'll give IU's rankings real quick. 7-3, 7-12. So, watch out for the over-under. I don't know. Again, what high-powered offense have they played? Nebraska's not terrible, but and Washington can run the football. But again, what have they done, right? Here's the crazy part and the scary part. Turnover margin, second in the country, plus 11. Interceptions, second in the country, 14. 14 interceptions. That's 2 per game, Seth math. Defensive touchdowns, third with 4. Sacks, 9th, 22 sacks. So they can get after the quarterback as well. They can force a lot of turnovers. Again, Dylan Raiola, best quarterback they played all season. Here's another fun fact for them. And Seth, I don't think has this one on his outline either. Fourth quarter points given up. FAU, 0. Northern Illinois, 0. Townsend, 10. Probably a bunch of backups in. Wisconsin, 7. And then here we go. Here comes the 3-game losing streak. Washington, 21. Nebraska, 10. UCLA, 13. In the last 4 games, they have averaged 13 points per game in the fourth quarter. Allowed 13 points per game. That's not going to win very many games. But they've got studs at every spot on the defense. We can start on the defensive line. Do you want to talk about these guys? Because I feel like you love both of these guys, especially Sidney Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, these are the guys they're worried about leaving.
True freshmen. Freshman.
These are the stud recruits that they brought in, that they were much ballyhooed. They had to play him immediately, and they've delivered for the most part. Sidney Stewart, 5.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble off the edge. He's absolutely one of those players that every other Big Ten, every other East Coast every other East Coast college team is salivating over potentially getting in the transfer portal here in about a month and a half. I think Zahir Mathis is another really good guy. He's just 1 sack off at 4.5. So they definitely have 2 pass rushers, edge rushers who can get after it. Again, they haven't faced a Carter Smith level offensive tackle though either. So it's really a situation where I think there's some inflated stats here. There's kind of some garbage time padding in here. I said the same thing about the offense. I'll say the same thing about the defense. As soon as they've started playing against these more quality teams, all of a sudden the defense is giving up 24, 34, 20 points. And like you said, against UCLA, a lot of those were in the fourth quarter.
The last 5 minutes. Yeah.
Even more. Yeah. So what you're really seeing is a little bit of the freshman exposure. They start off really hot against subpar performers. Then all of a sudden, when you get into the crux of the Big Ten schedule, there's a little bit of, I don't want to say full on wall, but there's a scale back in production. And as a result, some of these guys who are definitely ballyhooed and definitely deserving kind of reach their limit as far as how far they can go at Maryland. And they eventually realize that. These are the 2 guys I think that you want to circle and say, we have to stop them this week because there's a good chance they're trying to audition.
Yeah, and they're impressive. So, I mean, yeah, they're going to face them 2 really good tackles in Benson and Smith. They're going to overall, I mean, a really good offensive line at IU, and one that probably the best that they faced all season. Now, the spot you can probably get them is in the middle, and you can see that in their overall running rank, where they're 41st in rushing, 75th in passing as far as what they're allowed. But again, there's no lack of talent at that either one of those two positions. But the middle is where you can kind of get them. The linebackers are pretty good. Daniel Wingate leads the team with 65 tackles on the season. That's by far the most per game that we've seen from any team that we've talked about so far. He's also got an interception and 1.5 sacks. So watch out for Daniel Wingate back there. He's a junior. I think he's been with Maryland since the start.
Yep.
And then here's the fun part, I guess. Their defensive backfield is statistically elite. I mean, really, really good, right? So Dante Joyner, Lakai Rowland, Jamari Glasker all have 2 interceptions and a touchdown. 2 interceptions and a touchdown for 3 corners. And then you've got safety Jalen Husky, who's leads
their best
the team.
Yep. He's their best defensive player.
An NFL player. Yeah. He's hands down an NFL player. Well, how old is he? Do you know?
I think he's a junior or senior. I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, he's a really good player. Really good safety. This is funny, though. I can't believe I wrote this. He leads the team with 3 interceptions, but embarrassingly hasn't scored on any of them.
He's a 4th-year senior, but he played so little at Bowling Green his freshman year that he may still have some eligibility left, but he projects to be a pro for sure.
Yeah, he's going to be a really good player. So here's the problem with him, though. He's going to miss the first half with a targeting suspension from last game. And just to give you guys kind of an idea of where he ranks as overall safeties, PFF ranks him as the 5th highest safety in the country. So he's a really good player. Which goes back to like what you talked about. They tend to develop studs at the safety position. Nick Cross still leading the NFL in tackles? I mean, the kid's a beast. And they just have been producing them over and over and over again. Do you want to add anything else to their defense while we're here before? I mean, we're kind of flying through this, only 27 minutes.
No, but, I mean, it's definitely the stronger side of the ball. They have multiple freshmen, just like on offense. They have players that they're just young and a little bit inexperienced. So you'd like to take advantage of it while they're trying to get the seasoning. So because they will be, again, this is always the threat for Maryland football. If they manage to get some of these kids to stay for 2 or 3 years, they can really develop into a pretty talented team. It's just hard to keep some of these guys there. So they definitely have players. It's not something that you go, oh, they're 4-3, we're 8-0. This should be a walkover. Maryland has a dead stadium. There's no reason to, it's not a home field advantage. But if you don't come out and play, they will hit you, and they will absolutely not be afraid. At least, initially.
Yeah. And I was going to look up real quick. They've got a stud coming in next year too. And I think he may be the number 1 overall rated player. Zion Ellie, or I guess I'll just call him Ellie. He is the number 3 overall player in the country, a 5-star kid out of Baltimore, Maryland, 6'3.5", 220 defensive end. Number 1 defensive end in the country, number 1 player in the state, obviously.
So again, 2 stud freshman DNs, and who do they recruit? The best DN in the country. DN.
They play some good Maryland.
This is Maryland football.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. If they do not make a bowl this season, I believe I read this, it would be the 4th consecutive season that they have not made a bowl. Is that it for him? They can't do it. Here's a theory I've heard too. For let's say they don't make it. Maryland, Wisconsin, who else is struggling? Possible coaching change. Let's just use those
Michigan
two,
State.
Right? Michigan State, with high-profile jobs available. Auburn, Penn State. There's Arkansas,
Florida.
There's Florida State
should
probably
be available.
Yeah. Do they wait?
Virginia Tech.
Because Virginia Tech. Should they wait because the top
UCLA.
talent, the big guys are gone? They're not going to go to Maryland over those schools.
That was exactly what I was going to say. Is Loxley has going for him right now is the fact that if you put all of these jobs currently available or potentially available out there, Maryland is not a better job than any of those schools. And again, they have the Under Armour money, they have the DMV metro area, but damn, man, I would rather be at UCLA. I'd rather be at Virginia Tech. They all have home. Well, UCLA doesn't have a home field. UCLA has a recruiting base. Virginia Tech has a home field advantage. They have a loyal fan base. LSU, Penn State, Florida, Florida
LSU
State,
is the other one. Yeah.
LSU, Michigan State, Wisconsin. All of these places just seem like much better places to step into and win on a consistent basis. Maryland would get the leftovers. They would, they wouldn't be in it for John Sumrall, or one of these guys. They'd end up getting some, kind of retread or something. So,
I think the only one I disagree with you is that I think that that's a better job than Wisconsin. Just because I think Wisconsin
not traditionally, but
not traditional. Yeah, but I don't think Wisconsin's got money, and I think it's going to be a problem.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big problem for Wisconsin for a long time.
Wisconsin has learned in the last few weeks that they are a poverty school in the Big Ten. And I think a lot of their alumni and fans are coming to terms with something that they thought they weren't for a long time. I think they thought they were kind of an elite funded program, and they've really been exposed the last few years.
Yeah. Let's do this. We're 30 minutes in. There's not a whole lot more on the backside. Let's take a break. Then we'll do IU players to watch. We'll go around the Big Ten, lose you guys some money. Seth will empty a sack if he's got anything in there. We'll do our predictions, and then we'll get out of here. So give us just a second. We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by your go-to expert in the Indiana real estate market. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in a home right here in the heart of the Hoosier country, Garrett Lawton with True Blood Real Estate is the agent that you need. He's not just a real estate agent, he's a Hoosier fan just like you. And Garrett knows Indiana inside and out, from Bloomington to Indianapolis and everywhere in between. Plus, his personalized service makes the buying and selling process smooth and stress-free. So if you're ready to make a move, give Garrett a call at 317-410-8851 or visit his website at lawton-realty.com. And we're back. I don't know why my voice just changed like that. I have no idea. I got Tongler disease too or something. I don't know. All right. IU players to watch. Seth, who are you watching on offense? I think you gave a really good example earlier. There's a few out there. There's one that's pretty easy as well. So what are we looking at?
I think mine qualifies for all of those. I think it's easy. I think we've talked about him. Actually, we haven't talked about him. No, I can't remember. He was on my notes. Maybe I mentioned him. It's Roman Hemby. It is 100% Roman Hemby. Boy. This is a Maryland transfer, and of course, I wanted to do Kellen White, even though he's not available. But these are the Maryland guys. They develop or they recruit. They show some profile, and they end up recruiting Nolan Ray behind him. They end up recruiting DeJuan Williams behind him, and all of a sudden, Roman Hemby's like, "Get me out of here, Mista." And IU ended up being the perfect location for him. Here's what I want to talk about a little bit. He and Kalon are almost exactly split right now at 513 and 509 in total yards offensively from rushing scrimmage. Obviously, Black has fewer rushing attempts, has almost a yard and a half per carry average higher. But what Roman Hemby's done is he's been the main ball carrier, the kind of the bell cow, so to speak. And obviously Kobe Martin's been kind of the closer. But what we need to talk about a little bit with Roman Hemby is it seems like if you accept that kind of Indiana State and Michigan State are the outliers, the goal is to get him about 15 carries and about 75 yards. If you look at his game log, ODU, Kennesaw, Illinois, Iowa, Oregon, UCLA, that's about it. Get him the ball 15 times on the ground, he'll end up at about 75 yards. I expect a little bit higher version of that just because, anytime you face your former team, you want to turn it on just a little bit. I'd expect it to be about 17 for 100, probably something like that. The other thing I know, because you wouldn't shut up about it, the 2 touchdown Hemby last weekend. He only has the 4 touchdowns in the season, the 2 against Oregon and the 2 against UCLA. I may not be betting on the 2 touchdowns, but I do expect him to at least get 1. Because you want to have, like I said before, against your former team, you want to have those highlight moments. And I think that Sig is the type of coach to perhaps use him a little bit as a decoy, but also make sure that he gets his his moment of glory.
Yeah, I mean, that's my pick. I mean, that's my classic pick, was to go him be revenge game. I mean, I love him as a player. I think he's a really good back, and I think that he's going to do. I just think he comes out hair on fire and just goes nuts, right? I do think we try to establish that run game to try to bring that secondary up, get the secondary to bite a little bit more, get them off our receivers a little bit, and then that will set up a little bit more of the pass game. Now I don't want to single out a single receiver, so I'm gonna go with Carter Smith. That was the one I was talking about that we talked about a little bit earlier, just because Sidney Stewart's a really good player. He's a future NFL player. Like, yep. we can tell that right now at 19, 18 years old, however old he is. Will it be at Maryland too much longer? Probably not, but he's a really good player. He's probably going to be the guy that would put any sort of main pressure on Mendoza, which is, a lot of that is how they cause their turnovers. I wish the NCAA made QB pressures like an official stat, because that would be incredible to look at, because I bet you they'd be pretty high up there, forcing a lot of these turnovers because of it. So I'm going to go Carter Smith there. What do you have on defense?
Yeah, for defense, I have the linebackers. This is the one I alluded to a lot more heavily in the beginning. It's we talked about how IU's done a much better job this year, and especially since ODU, about limiting mobile quarterbacks, using we call them sugar linebackers, we call them roving, we call them you can call them whatever you want, spies, robbers, and they've been kind of having two bully linebackers staying in the middle. It's really been allowing the rush to continue, but not really allowing anything to happen right over the ball in that 5 to 10 yard area, and also limiting escapability for the quarterback. The one thing here, and this is why Oregon is a pretty good comparison, obviously not from necessarily a talent level, but from maybe a scheme and an athletic advantage standpoint, where we talked about Sadiq, we talked about the tight end, was it Ferguson, for Maryland, as guys who can potentially throw a little bit of a wrinkle into that, where all of a sudden Fleming, sorry, I knew it was an F, Dorian Fleming, a big guy who has to occupy one of those linebackers. So if all of a sudden he can get vertical, he can go on flag routes, he can go to the out routes, and all of a sudden you're pulling one of those linebackers out of that kind of middle hook, middle curl zone, that could potentially create some issues. So there are some ways that I think Maryland can move the ball, be effective, take advantage of some opportunities. I don't expect it to be overwhelmingly so, but that's one of the areas where I expect with Fisher likely coming back, being probable still listed, with Bones Jones, with Aiden Turner, with Elijah Hardy being people who are going to be really key in making sure we have that balance of limiting the tight end play and limiting the quarterback escapability.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I'm gonna go with another one of my boys, a guy that's been a little bit quiet, but I think has been making some really good plays in the secondary. I'm gonna go, and I'll explain why. I'm gonna go with Amari Farrell. I think that if we can get a turnover or get into Malik Washington's head early into the game. What did Brandon say about Nico last week? Is that I don't think that necessarily Malik is a head case, right? Like what he called Nico, but to do that to a true freshman, in what is probably their biggest matchup of the year. It is hands down. It's their biggest match of the year.
Yep.
And so he's going to be overamped, I'm sure. To have a steady guy back there, and Farrell, I'd look for him to have an interception in this game. I'm going to call it right now, and I'll put money on it if I can. So yeah, I'm going to go Amari Farrell there. I think really any of the corners, if we can shut him down, make him go to away game Malik Washington, this isn't even a contest, I don't think. So that's the thing I'm going to look out for. Let's go around the Big Ten real quick. There's some interesting games. Betting wise, I don't think overall final score they'll be that close, but I've added a new thing to my table.
Hold on, one more thing. Sorry, really go quick. Ahead. The other thing, have we talked about that Maryland's coming off a bye?
We did. I kind of glanced.
Are we worried about that at all? Or, I mean,
No.
you having 2 weeks to prepare.
For
Okay.
what? What are you going to prepare for? You're going to
Well, okay.
prepare for the. Are you going to prepare for the 6th or the 3rd best scoring offense, the 11th best rushing offense,
Well,
the
yeah,
33rd
of
best
course.
passing
Yeah, that's
offense?
what they get paid to do.
I
The
mean,
other
which
team
one are you
gets
going to?
paid too.
I know that's what I mean, but like, what are you? We got to shut down the run. It's like, okay, we have the best quarterback in the country. Okay, well we're going to shut down the pass.
You have to know that they have a pretty good scouting report on Hemby, so you'd have to figure that they are somewhat prepared to counter what his strengths are. They played him last year. They played the last few years now. I still don't believe Loxley's this great tactician though, so that doesn't necessarily put the fear of God into me like some of the other coaches with 2 weeks. But I don't know. It's just something to consider. I just wanted to throw it out there before we moved on.
I agree with you, and
I had a note. I had a note written down. I hadn't gotten a chance to talk about it. Might as well shoot that bullet.
Well, let you do that. That's fine. And I was going to go back and look. I think no, it's not true. Okay, I was going to say I thought that Iowa was the team that played us obviously the closest this year, and the team that came off of a bye, but they didn't. They did have an extra day to prepare. Really a whole week. Honestly, they played Rutgers the week before.
Wasn't it Oregon? Didn't both
Oregon and IU came off of a bye at the same time,
yeah.
I believe. Yeah. IU definitely came off of a bye, and Oregon came off of a bye. That's where, again, the coaching thing. Brandon, remember what Brandon said was, Dan Lanning, great. Yeah, well, we think he's a great coach, right?
I think he's pretty damn good. Yeah.
Was outclassed. Honestly, like, I don't know if you've been a part of these conversations or have seen them nationally or not, but the national perspective is IU dominated that game. I mean, what it is. So the scoreboard may not show it, but I believe that's kind of how it went. If you go back and watch it again, I don't think you really. I mean, the very first play of the game set the tone, right?
Yep.
Remember, sack on the very first play of the game, and that was pretty much it. All right, let's get into the betting stuff. What was supposed to be a massive game has turned into probably a laugher.
This was the biggest game of the year. This was preseason, circled, highlighted, red star alert game of the year.
Wasn't this the one that everybody was saying, oh, man, it needs to
they
be
might
one
play 3
2.
times. They might have to play 3 times.
Yeah,
they'll play in the regular season, the Big Ten championship, and then the Natty, baby.
Yeah. And Penn Stated themselves. So Penn State at Ohio State, Gus Johnson on the call. Imagine how many times he's going to say Jeremiah Smith.
My throat hurts just thinking about it.
Yeah, right. Cornell Tate, ladies and gentlemen.
Ohio's own. Or something,
yeah. So this is funny though, right? So I've got Ohio State, their favorite by, at the time of this, it may have changed. Ohio State was favored by 20.5 with a 43.5 over under. What I was saying was I added a little side section to my table, try to lazily copy it all over, but Google Sheets kind of sucks and it doesn't just replace the table. It screwed everything up. But I added a tease section. I'm going to tease this one. Give me the spread. I'm going to tease it down.
Okay.
To 16.5 because I don't like the hook.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like the 20.5 hook. I think Ohio State wins by 17, 18, or 19 or 20. And that'll get you at minus 179. So it's not an over the top, like stupid bet where you're at minus 200 something or minus 300, but you're at minus 179. Give me Ohio State minus 16.5.
I don't hate your thinking here. I my comfort level with this is borderline 0. I really think that Penn State has a point of pride and they keep it closer than they should for a little bit, and then eventually there's some separation. I think somewhere in that 14 to 17 range does make a lot more sense. 20.5 just scares the hell out of me, even though obviously it could easily happen by the end of the first quarter. On the other hand, that's why gambling sucks.
Yes, it does. Sometimes. Sometimes you bet on Vlad Guerrero to hit a home run and he hits it on the second pitch of the game, right? So, all right. So, poor Penn State, right? No, not really, but they have to play number 1 and then number 2 back to back. All right, moving on. Rutgers. This is a surprising line. Rutgers at going to Illinois. Illinois only favorite by 12.5. This is where my tease section comes into it. I'm teasing this one up, teasing it to 16.5. I think they handle Rutgers. That's plus 123, by the way.
I'll back you up on that one.
Yeah, I think they handle Rutgers. I don't think Illinois is a bad team, but they're better than Rutgers. This one, you tell me, man. This was a no touch for me. Michigan State, two of the most inconsistent teams in the Big Ten, probably.
Yeah.
Michigan State goes to Minnesota. Minnesota only favorite by 3, over under 44.5. I'm not touching it.
Minnesota looks great one week, looks like dog shit the next. I think at home against a team they should beat, that's the PJ Fleck special. You know, we talk about the James Franklin special. You always lose to teams that you should lose to. PJ tends to win the games against the teams that are about the same level as him at home. So that seems like a PJ Fleck win. I'd probably say 7 to 10 points. So if we're doing the tease game, I'd put it at 6.5.
Okay. I can't believe I didn't tease this one, but it's okay.
Oh, I would.
Purdue at Michigan.
27.5.
Is Brown
Doesn't
playing?
matter. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Going to Michigan. Michigan favorite, number 21 Michigan. Favorite by 21 points. Over under 50.5. I got Michigan covering 21 points.
Yeah, give me 27.5, like I said.
Okay.
I think that should be.
I'm interested in this one with you. The overrated number 23 USC Trojans, favorite by 6.5, going to the now probably rejuvenated Matt Rule and Nebraska team.
Coming off.
I got Nebraska at least plus 6.5.
Yeah, I don't
plus 6.5.
I don't hate that. I think what Nebraska has shown, or what I should say more realistically, Dylan Raiola has shown, is he kind of has a little bit that Nico in him, where he'll get flustered, man. He gets the wrong matchup. He gets the wrong matchup, man, and he'll kind of do a internal meltdown. He's also had games where he's played pretty well. So let's be realistic and balance things out there. But I don't think USC has the pass rush that would really rattle him like some of the other teams did. But I wouldn't have said that about Minnesota either. So if I have to lean one way or another, I would say, I'll take the plus side of the 6.5.
All right. That's it. Those are all the games. What is that? 1, 2, 3. There's only 10, 12 teams playing in the Big Ten this week. All right. Do you have anything in your sack, Seth?
No, whenever I have to do the primary ball carrying here, the sack's a little empty at the end of the game.
I get it. All right. Predictions. I forgot to do mine, but I did it just a minute ago. So I'm interested to hear on what you have to say here.
Yeah, I think everything we've talked about makes this difficult because they're going to do some things. Like again, I always try to be, and then, UCLA goes out and puts up, 7 points or whatever it was. They're going to do some things.
6 points. Six
points. Sorry. So it's, I'm trying not to talk out both sides of my mouth at the same time here. I think Maryland's going to score some points. I think I don't think they have the willpower to do the ball control offense. I mean, I think that's really where the teams have been able to stick around a little bit early.
Yeah, they're UCLA, bad. Number 92nd in the country in time of possession.
UCLA didn't stand a chance. Obviously, when you get intercepted on the opening
second play of the game.
Yeah, second play of the game. That's going to really, you're playing catch-up mode to begin with. And with a freshman quarterback and without really having a strong running game, I just don't see the ball control offense. So then it's what you try to go the quick score. You try to do 80-yard chunk plays. Well, between the defensive line, the linebackers, the defensive backfield, they haven't given up a bunch of giant chunkers on the year. So it's really tough to see how that's going to balance out. So I do think IU is going to put up some points. I think that their offense has been, prohibitive lately, has been absolutely progressive. So I'd probably say they put up 45 points. I'm getting a little aggressive today.
I like it.
And then I'd see Maryland's probably, I'll give them 17.
Okay. We're not too far off. You're 45.
I feel like
I feel
like I'm reaching, yeah, but I've seen too much scoring lately, and it's opened me up a little bit. I've been conservative. I said 31 last week, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm taking the governor off.
It's so funny, right? So UCLA wins 3 games going into our game. We beat them by 50.
Mm-hmm.
Maryland loses 3 games in a row coming into our game. I don't know if we can do that again on the road. Mine's is it closer? Yes, it is closer than your score. I wish it wasn't. I got Maryland 13, IU 38. Yeah. Comfortable. It's a comfortable win. Maybe it's a late field goal by Maryland, or maybe even a late touchdown. I don't know. I do think that they get some sort of score early, right? Kind of hang in there for a little bit and then done. But we'll see. I mean, we've honestly, in our prediction, our scores haven't been that far off on some of these. But the way these games go is that I think we're so stuck in what has been just an abysmal fandom for just so long that it's like hard for us even who do this every other day, it feels like, following this team, watching everything twice, 3 times, 4 times, reading message boards, and not really realizing how dominant and how good the team actually is. But I'm going to stick with 38-13.
All right.
Did Brandon give his?
I didn't see it.
Okay. What did you say?
Yeah, I did have one sack thing. There was an update to the EA Sports 2026 player rankings. Yeah. So I'm just going to give the new updated top 6 IU players. Carter Smith is now a 95. Nando is a 94. Pons is a 92. Surratt and Kamara are also a 92. And Fisher is a 91.
Oh, boy. I think Cooper is like, what, 88, 89?
Yeah. There's another grouping between 89 and 86 that's another healthy chunk. But yeah.
Yep. They've got Benson ranked pretty high, too. I think he's had a pretty good season.
84, something like that.
Yeah. They've got him listed as a right guard, too, which is silly, but it is what it is. All right. Yeah, that's it. 51 minutes, not bad for a preview podcast. Without Brandon here in his, did he do contract? He did contract talk on the last one, didn't he?
Probably.
He did it. Yeah, everybody pray for Brandon and his ear infections and his amoxicillin or whatever he's going to get. His pink bubblegum flavored antibiotics that he'll have
I think he's got a toothache and a tummy ache too. And he ran so far that his side hurt a little bit.
Oh my gosh, dude. Be sure to check out the pod on Twitter and Instagram at Happy Hour IUFB. I hope he doesn't listen to this. Be sure to download, rate, review, and follow on all of our platforms. And you know what we do. Just join us again. We'll be here Sunday night recording at some point for your Monday podcast. Can't wait to do it. Talk another victory, hopefully, and we'll see you then.
Be the smartest guy at the offense or at the office Monday, right? Cheers.
Yeah. Peace. I'm still not done. Still recording. Bye.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.